Hello, Silver Squad, and welcome back to the old truck. I hope y'all are doing well. My name is Paul. If you're new to the channel, if you're not new to the channel, my name's still Paul. Now, y'all, if you're new here, whatever, just know that I usually do have a cute little sofa, a cute little set. It's very ambiance. It's very cozy, okay? And I report live or pre-recorded from the sofa. So, couple of things real quick. First of all, just because I've heard some people asking me and whatnot, there's a couple of things going on in life right now. They're all good. Number one, I'm selling my house. So this is some of the reasons why you'll see me doing these videos right here. And so until it sells, I usually will go to a specific location to do like pre-recorded videos and stuff like that. If I can do them where I'm at. Where I'm at, we have several dogs going on. You already know Bo and Luke if you're familiar with me. And so certain times of the day, there's no way you can record with sound and stuff like that, right? It just gets too crazy. Now, the other main reason I started doing these truck updates is for trials. It's the fastest way for me to get something out, like thoughts and updates and recaps and things like that. So the longer ones that aren't appropriate for, say, a short, you know what I mean? And you already know, if you follow me, I talk so much it's usually not appropriate for short. So that's why you're seeing me doing these. The regular sofa set will be back eventually. You see me also, I record in front of a green screen for some of my pre-recorded things and whatnot. Or if the situation, like if I'm at a hotel, because I do travel and whatnot, I'll do that. So that's why you're kind of seeing these like random places. So today I'm reporting live from the truck in front of the apartment complex. Look at how ominous it looks. It's real tall, real tall. But what we're reporting on today, which is the most important reason why we're here, is Lori Daybell's post-conviction interview. Y'all, I, y'all, thank you for staying on me about this one, y'all, because it was good. Okay. Now, I have my laptop sitting right behind me. I'm pointing at it right now, though y'all can't see me doing that, so that I can reference the notes that I made while watching it. Okay, so Lori speaks out. Did not, shocker, didn't expect to be found guilty. All right. I was like, but I mean, I guess who would, right? I mean, like, what is she going to say? Like, oh, yeah, I knew I was going to be guilty. Like, what? Like, what do we expect her to say, right? Okay, said she was surprised, but said knowing what she knows about the judicial system, she shouldn't be surprised. She just goes on and on about her whole thing about, basically the cards are stacked against her. And on some level, I mean, she's not lying, but it's also, for her particular situation, why one would use a lawyer. Now, also, it would be completely different if there was a shred of evidence to show that she was not guilty. Okay. I would buy that conversation or argument from somebody who was wrongly convicted way before. And there was like plenty of information to show that. Way before Lori. Okay. When asked why no reaction, like, the reporter's like, why, you didn't really blink. Lori goes, she's like, well, you very well know I've had a near-death experience. Okay, girl. And she's like, I've seen behind the veil. I know what's there. Okay. I know. I've been. And, she's like, when you go there, you learn what's important, what's not important. She said that she's learned that how you react to things, how you treat people. I was like, really, girl? Is all very important here on life. So it was, basically for her, you had to, just keep a poker face on, whatever. She also said that when she was in heaven, she was taught to have joy in every situation. So that's what she did. So I was like, okay. Now, when asked why she called no one to testify, she asked the reporter, did you see the motions? Did you see like all the stuff that was saying like what I can and cannot ask, who I can ask it to? Did you see all the witnesses that were struck from my list? So again, she kind of goes back into this, everyone's against her, everything was stacked against her type thing. So one thing that's very complicated with her case, and if you want to just, reduce it down to the state's out to get me, where it's like, well, girl, you've been convicted of insanely heinous crimes, and all of these crimes kind of overlap. So in order to get a fair trial for this one, there's things you can't say or can't do. And then some of it's like, why are you asking so-and-so to come up here? Because they told you your hair was pretty 2 days before it happened. Well, that's not relevant. You know what I mean? Like, some of this stuff is like, you're just wanting to preach or get revenge. And that's no. So anyways, okay. When asked why she didn't testify, she says that, again, goes back to how the system works, says that the state is able to put up a rebuttal, and a whole other case if she were to put someone in the stand or testify herself. So, she's sitting here saying basically like, well, if I go up there and say anything, it's going to open a can of worms for them to keep going. Now, in Lori's fashion, she kind of squirms around that. But I mean, honestly, 100% she's right. Again, if you were not guilty and you didn't have all these layers going on, it might be more beneficial. But Lori's not dumb, okay? She might be portalized, but she ain't dumb. She knows if she gets up there and starts and brings this person on or brings that person on, she runs this risk of other stuff being brought in, but also more evidence coming out that she didn't want. Almost like you can't control what's going to happen. So for her to get up there, she knows if she got up there and talked, they were going to open a huge can of worms, right? So it was like, And probably with a lot of the people she wanted to bring up there too. Now, they move on to the talk about the jurors. And, she starts talking about like the jury. And what was interesting is Lori's like, yeah, I've not heard anything that they've said about what they thought. And Lori's like, which I don't 100% believe, but I don't know exactly when. I can't remember when they said they did this. But one thing she said, we'll get to in a second, made me think, you've talked to somebody. But anyways, okay. Told Lori, they all wonder. Okay, so the reporter told Lori, they're all like, where's Tylee? Where's Tylee? And, Lori keeps a poker face on. Lori was surprised they didn't know about the previous convictions and says that she thought they knew and says, well, what if one person informed everyone else during deliberations? Now, again, the timeline of when this came out, but I'm just like, that sounds such like the storyline that we've heard about that one juror who made the comment about her already serving life sentences. And so it's like, I personally think that's going to be part of her appeal. She's already working that angle, right? Okay. Then this was an amazing question from the reporter. Asked a lot of really good questions. The reporter says, how do you feel about seeing Tylee in court, meaning on the footage that we saw and whatnot? And Lori keeps that same face. She knows Tylee's in heaven. She knows what she's doing. It's been 6 years. She says the whole situation of what happened between Charles and Tylee was a precursor to Tylee taking her own life. She's still sticking with that story. Now, here's my thing right here. And I always like, sorry, you know how your brain goes or whatever. I assume most people's does. When the reporter asked that question, in my mind, I was already answering for Lori. And I was waiting for her to say something like, oh, it was really hard. It was really hard seeing her. Oh, God, if only things could have been different. Now I get she's got appeals and this and that, whatnot. But for her to double down and be like, nope, she's in heaven. She's fine. It's so perplexing. You didn't even have to admit guilt. And you could sit here and be like, it was really tough seeing her. I miss her. Right? Something. Okay. Reporter brings up the whole family tragedy phase and how it bothers people. And Lori was like, I was there, nobody else was. That's totally what it was. Now, when pressed about what really happened, meaning Lori references Colby's interview and said that's what's really happened. So if you follow this, you know all the stuff. Colby Ryan, her son, interviewed her, aka talked to her on the phone via jail or whatever. And she came up with this concocted story about how Tylee took her own life. And you're just kind of sitting here like, huh? Like, what? Clearly, that's what she's going with. That's what she's doing. Now, so to hear her sit here and say, that's what really happened, I'm like, okay, so she's doubled down on this. This is what she's going to stick with. Now, Lori did say it was harder than she thought to represent herself. She said it was different. So when asked like what it was like facing off with Adam, she was like, it was different than she thought. And she made some commentary about, her and Adam used to joke and make movie titles and talk in movie titles and things of that nature, movie quotes. And she thought about doing a quote to him because he would have known it from his childhood. I'm surprised she'd done that. But that to me, and they brought up the green chicken enchilada chili stuff or whatever. And she talked about that a little bit where it was like, she was trying to get personal with him but still being very kind of a way. Okay. Then the reporter's like saying, talking about her having an affair, meaning Lori. And Lori was like, with Chad. And she was like, basically, let me rewind. The way she talked to Nancy Hancock and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, well, you were having an affair with Chad. And Lori's like, I wasn't having an affair. We were best friends. And then basically through back and forth questioning, they water it down to once Tammy, or I forget what it was, if they said Tammy or Charles, I can't remember which one, was gone, that's when it turned into something else. But we all know that was not a very long time, right? Do I believe them? Please, no, absolutely not. Okay, then they bring up Ned, and they're like, do you really believe that Charles was Ned? Lori says that was misconstrued, but they don't have time to clear that up. Then they ask Lori about the Nephi text, and Lori's like, those were misconstrued. Says, she was having to be like Nephi and be brave, etc. And she says that like those three, like Adam and Charles, and that they're conspiring against her. They're keeping track of her. And she was busy with JJ. She always brings up, he has autism. I have to do this. I have to run around. I have to do this. It's like her go-to, right? Okay. But still, she skirts around the question. Then when asked why she waited 47 minutes to call 911, she goes, I didn't wait. That was Adam. I left the house. I was getting the kids out of danger. That was his responsibility to do that. I thought he handled the situation. And you're just like, she can really explain everything away. And then one thing she just kept saying toward the end is zero effect on me in eternity. She talks about the things that are going on. They will have zero effect on her during eternity. So those are the notes I made, and these are my thoughts. I kind of said some along the way, but we'll go over a couple. Lori still has to sit here and hang on to, nope, eternity, I'm whatever it is she thinks she is, that's what she's holding on to. I think that gets her through the day. I think it makes her think that she's okay and justified in doing all the things that she does. Now, the phone call thing is a prime example. Well, that was Adam's job. And the reporter did say, well, would you have called 911 right away if you had been there? And she was like, yeah, I would have. Please. Right? I mean, come on. Okay, the whole Ned thing and all that type of stuff. This is how you know Lori isn't completely like, whoa. She knows when to reel it in, and I mean within reason, and when not to, right? She's obnoxious, she wants attention, she wants whatever, but she knows when it's like, oh yeah, we don't have time to talk about Ned. She knows the parts of the testimony that make her look really, really just out there and vehemently denies them. For what reason, I don't know. Does it surprise me that she was surprised that, she was convicted? Yeah, I'm not going to lie, it does. I'm like, what? How? The biggest surprise and shocker of this for me was again to hear the way she spoke of Tylee. I wanted some form of human connection. I wanted to recognize something in her in that moment of a scrap of empathy, a scrap of humanity, something, and there was nothing, right? Just nothing. So that part was honestly the most like, why can't you even say one decent thing? Like, nothing. It's just trying to maneuver the next tactic or whatever. I don't know. So that being said, so I did a poll and asking people what cases they want to follow and stuff like that. Stefan Stearns was a big one. Obviously, Lori Daybell. Now, we're going to follow the other cases. It's just meaning, where do y'all want to focus in on? And so you probably, when you're seeing this, you're going to see my live stream set up. We've got like a Stefan Stern thing. We're going to start reviewing all the Brandon Boudreaux information. So Melanie Pulowski interviews, things of this nature, to build up to the trial coming up. So we'll be toggling between those. Also, the Mushroom Lady, Erin Patterson, started today, trial yesterday, Monday. I'm filming this on Monday. So we're going to be doing some updates on that. So we've got a lot going on. But we're going to try and stream and watch and catch up on Stefan Stearns and the Brandon Boudreaux stuff on the podcast channel. And then obviously, do regular content over here. And some of them will be like this just to get them out. So that means that I do appreciate you watching. If you could, pretty please drop some sofas off down in the comment section below. For myself, Rosco and Spirit, Bo and Luke, and the rest of the Sofa Squad, we need a little truck to sit in. We need a little sofa. Good Lord. And until we do, I'll make our way down there to hang out and talk about this case and all the other ones we do talk about here at the Sofa Squad. I'll see y'all soon.